Okay,
12?
roll camera.
Yeah. 12 Bravo, take 2, marker.
Action. And action.
What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. It's 12:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. One more time. Hey, that's right. 12:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this Thursday, February the 4th, 2021. My name's Dave Mcrae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada, and this is episode 142 of Mcrae Live, all Q&A today. Why? There's nothing to fucking talk about, that's why. Well, I mean, there is a lot to talk about if you have a more of a broader interest range than I do, but I figure I would pass it over to you guys, and then you guys could ask me questions, and we can get the Q&A underway. Whatever you guys want to talk about today. Wow, 3 rhymes in a row. Anyway, yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about today, we can talk about it. Whatever. So, ball's in your court. The ball is in your court. I was going to show you something, and now I forget what it was I was going to show you. Maybe I forgot it. I completely forget what I was going to show you. Anyway, welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in here on this I Need a Shave Thursday. It's I Need a Shave Thursday, folks. If you need a shave, give me a call, 1-800-555-SHAVE, and we'll set you up. We'll shave together. And we'll have some fun. So what are you guys saying? Let's see. In the chat room, people are here. Dia Maria is here. Great to have people here. Hans Gruber says one downvote already. Ooh, it's probably Devontae. It looks like Devontae here. One downvote already is you know who here. Probably. Well, the ironic thing is that those people and whoever it is, when you downvote, here's the thing you guys have to remember. When you downvote, that actually, it doesn't matter whether you upvote or downvote, it helps the YouTube algorithms. So if you downvote, it still helps. So really, you're not really doing anything. I mean, you are, but you're not. You know what I mean? I mean, people who downvote If you genuinely don't like a video and you downvote, that's one thing. But the trolls that like to downvote a video before it starts, they think they're getting to you, and they take, because they have nothing else going on in their lives, they take great pride in being able to downvote a video. It feels like they've done something, like they've stuck it to you. You know, yeah, I can take this and I can go, yeah, look at that. My downvote shows up. Yeah, I've done something. I feel like I've stuck it to you, but it doesn't do anything. Like it doesn't do anything. It actually helps me more than it ever hinders anybody. So I always just whatever, you know. Oh, and I see one downvote actually was taken away. Isn't that kind of funny? I had 2 downvotes here just a couple of seconds ago, and now I only have 1. You can tell one of them is watching. But it's true. It doesn't do anything. Oh, and now I have 2. They're watching. They love it. But in reality, it doesn't do anything. If you know how the YouTube algorithms work, it's true. It actually helps videos. The downvotes help videos as much as the upvotes to a degree. So I think it's quite funny, actually. It doesn't do anything for me, but if for you, whoever you are, if it helps you in your little day, I mean, that's okay, man. That's okay. That's cool. Whatever. Doesn't bother me. I could have 500 downvotes and no upvotes, and I couldn't care less. Because you see, for me, and if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I don't do this. This isn't my job, right? It's not that these things can't turn into jobs, but this is not my job. I do this because I love hanging out with you guys. I love talking movies. I love, you know, having a good time. I make time to do this, and you know, it's awesome stuff. And if it wasn't for this channel, we wouldn't have been able to shoot It's Me, Billy. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys who, and even if you didn't donate to the campaign, you know, I mean, even if you didn't, you know, you tuned in, you spread the word, you watched, you talked to people, who knows, right? If it wasn't for you guys, that movie wouldn't have been made. I love hanging out with you guys. But I don't do it for the clicks. I don't do it for the likes. I don't do it for the subs. Because if I did, then you would know, because you would recognize that my channel, I would start talking about things that I don't normally talk about to get clicks. I would start talking about drama. I would start uploading videos about, you know, God knows what's out there. You know what I mean? Politics. Geez, if I want to get likes, all I got to do right now is upload a video about Trump or something, you know, and well, maybe not now because he's out of office, but you know what I mean though, right? I don't care about that shit. I don't care. So thumb down all you want, thumb up all you want. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. You would like to think it does, but it doesn't. And that's the irony of it. But if it helps you feel better, if you feel better by putting the thumbs down because you don't like me, well, that's what it's there for. That's why I don't take away your ability to do that. I allow you to give the thumbs down, because I could take your ability to do that away. I could take your ability to comment away, but I don't do that because I don't care. Anyway, Mitchell kindly, could be said both ways. Thank you very much, buddy. $24.99 super chat. Really appreciate you supporting the channel on that level. Really appreciate it, man. No question attached to it. Just saying that. Really appreciate it. Let's see here. Good Real Hunting says, any update on next opportunities to purchase a Blu-ray of It's Me, Billy? Great to see you here, Good Real. No immediate updates yet. I mean, obviously, our focus right now is the post-production process of It's Me, Billy. And we are just beginning the assembly edit of the third act now. So things are looking good, and we're piecing it all together, and then it's got to go through the color grading and the color correction process as well. So the sound design and the assembly edit are simultaneously being done together because we're trying to kill a couple birds with one stone. And then once that's done and we have it set, we'll bring our DP on board. And I mean, myself and Bruce will go through a color grading process as well, but we're going to be also be talking with our DP and getting his input, and then he might want to touch up a few things, and so it's fun. I mean, it's a great process. It's a learning experience for me especially, and I'm having a great time doing it. And I can't wait to get out there and shoot another movie. It's just going to be so much fun. Of course, these things cost a lot of money, but but it's fun to do. And in terms of the Blu-ray, I don't know yet. Like we're thinking about maybe when we put out the official trailer, we might launch an Indiegogo campaign. Maybe not then. Maybe when the movie's released as well, somewhere around there, whether it's the trailer or the release of the movie, we launch another campaign, very short, to raise a bit more money to help with the Blu-rays, right? For those of you that didn't get a Blu-ray, here's your last chance to get one, things like that. But we're taking it one step at a time. You know, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, because we have a lot we got to think about, which is the post-production of this movie, which is what we are deep in right now. Bruce is supposed to be coming over tomorrow at some point to continue to work on that. So, and I am working on it as well on my own time, which is why there will not be a Mcrae Live tomorrow, by the way. There will not be a Mcrae Live tomorrow because I want to focus on, I want to spend the day focused on It's Me, Billy. There's some things I have to do to prepare for Bruce's arrival. So just a heads up that there will not be a show tomorrow. But it's coming, man. It's coming, you know, and that's why we released a couple of those BTS videos, because we thought you guys would like that. If you've yet to see it, I might play it again here shortly. It's only about a minute long, minute and a bit. But it is on my channel as well. It is on my channel as well. Let's see. Justin Goodrich, excuse me, says, sends in a $5 super chat and says, it's funny. I've noticed now, I wonder if this is different with YouTube. I've noticed that YouTube, at least with these 3 super chats that have come in, unless there's an opportunity when you send a super chat to hide this fact, I don't know what would be the purpose of that. It usually tells me the currency, whether it's US, whether it's Canadian, whether it's a euro, whether it's a pound, whether it's an Australian dollar. And right now it's not telling me that. It just says it says $5, like it's a dollar sign. So I know it's dollars. Most of my viewership is from the US, so it's probably US. But usually it will say like USD or CD or whatever. It doesn't say that. That's so kind of funny. Anyway, $5 super chat. Any advice for new runners? I'm trying to get to 5K, but I'm only up to 1.5 miles per run so far. Also, do you change your footwear running in the snow? I haven't this year because there's not a lot of snow, although I think it's supposed to snow later today. It's just consistency, Justin. I mean, I'm not a marathon runner by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, there are a lot better runners out there than me. But one thing that I've done my whole life, and I'm a stocky guy, like I'm 5'8", 165 pounds. So I'm kind of like, I'm not a marathon, like I don't look lean and mean out there, you know, gallivanting on the streets. I'm like I look like I don't want to say jock, because I'm clearly not a jock, but I have that kind of thing to me. You know what I mean? But I can run 5K, no problem. I could probably run 10K, no problem, if I actually did it. It's just consistency. It's getting out there, being consistent, doing at least 2 or 3 of those runs a week. And each time you do it, when you're about to come to the end of your route, maybe go a little further, you know, extend it by 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then extend it again, or pick a route that you know is longer, you know what I mean? And then try that. It's just consistency. It's just building up to it. It's just building up to it. I mean, if you're new, no one's expecting you to go out there and run 5K on your first run. I mean, you know, my resting heart, I don't know what my heart rate is now because it's all up because I'm talking. What am I right now? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's about a second, I think, a beat. So my heart rate right now as I'm talking is probably about 60 beats a minute. But in high school, like I said, it was 47 beats a minute. It was 47 beats a minute not too, like maybe 10 years or so ago. And that's not because I'm this, you know, incredible athlete or something. I mean, I played hockey growing up, as a lot of Canadian kids did. And I was always in shape, worked out with weights and things like that. But it's just consistency. It's just getting out there and being consistent with it, you know, and setting goals and extending it, you know, when you feel that you can. But you don't want to go out there and feel that, you know, I've got to run 5K right off the bat. I mean, my very first jog when I was 16 years old, I ran up the street around the corner and I was done, completely done. But I kept at it. And by the end, now granted, I was 16. So, you know, you're younger, you're more spry, you got more energy, your body recovers more quickly. I mean, I'm 41 now. You know, it's a lot harder. I don't know how old you are, but the principle of what I'm saying is that by the end of the summer, I was running like 3K and no problem, like no issues at all. You know what I mean? So it's just consistency. You know, you got to build up that cardiovascular resistance. You know, you got to build it up. You know, you gotta work it. And in terms of footwear, I mean, I know there is specific footwear out there for snow running. Like they'll have different treads and things like that. I don't have those shoes. I tend to, but the brand I go with is usually Asics. Is the brand of footwear that I usually go with. They're not cheap. I mean, you're going to spend over $100 on a good pair of running shoes for sure, but they'll last you. You know, and they should last you if you're consistent. I mean, if you're a marathon runner, they may last you one marathon. But I mean, if you're just a casual runner like me, runs, you know, a few days a week, they should last you a year, you know, before you have to switch out shoes again. Maybe it all depends, but just keep at it. Just keep at it. Just keep being consistent with it, and you'll build up that strength. David Lee Barron says, you're like a martini without the woman. That's from a hate mail video from a while back. You're right. That was funny, man. That was funny. I'm like a martini with that. That was a terrific line. I love that line. I'd love to get that on a t-shirt, actually. That'd be amazing. Sucks Films, or maybe it's SUX Films. I think it's Sucks Films. I don't know. I don't want to say sucks, though, because I don't. Maybe it's SUX Films. Dave, I find it crazy every time you mention that It's Me, Billy is in post-production. Seems like only yesterday you announced the project. It's amazing how time can fly for some. Dude, it is amazing. It really is. There's a video on my channel that sometimes comes up when I search for things on It's Me, Billy, and it's the announcement video. I made an announcement video on my channel back when I wasn't from this angle. I didn't have this mic. It was more on. And I had my mic that was hanging here. It was from July 3rd or 4th or something like that, 2019. So, you know, a year and a half or so ago. And or I guess over a year and a half or so ago. And I was making the announcement that I had entered into development with my buddy Bruce on a Black Christmas fan film called It's Me, Billy. And I watched that video, and then I looked to where we are now, and it's amazing. But like I said, it wouldn't have happened without you guys. You know, it was a real humbling experience, you know, to go through all that, to watch you guys step up to the plate and say, yeah, we believe in you guys here. You know, here's this donation, here's that. We believe in you. I mean, it was amazing. It's something I will never forget. And everybody was excited. We were all excited to put this thing together. And again, there's no guarantees. I mean, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to like it. I mean, it's a movie, right? And we've, you know, and because there have been some people that have reached out to me and said, you know, what's the kill count? You know, what's the blood like? And I've had to kind of calm people down and say, have you seen the original Black Christmas? You know, we're paying homage to that movie. I mean, you know, it's not Friday the 13th here. And I say that not to downplay what we've done. I think what we've done is great. But I'm trying to give certain people that may not be familiar with the IP realistic expectations. I mean, this isn't Friday the 13th. This isn't, you know, some low budget 80s slasher movie with blood, guts, and gore all over the place. You know, it's more of a psychological thriller, you know, well, it's like the original, right? So, you know, and if you love that kind of thing, you'll probably really appreciate what we've done. But if you don't like that kind of thing, you may not like what we've done, or you may like what we've done. You may be like, hey, you know what? I didn't like the original, but I really like what you guys did here, because who knows? I have no idea. But I'm proud of what we accomplished. I'm proud of what our team accomplished. I think it's looking good. I think Black Christmas fans will appreciate it because it's going to feel and look like a Black Christmas sequel. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what we want. You know what I mean? It's not the 2006 movie. It's not the 2019 movie. We carry it forward, you know, and there's some cool things in there that I think fans will really appreciate. But it's hard to believe that we're in post-production. You know, I'm looking at the footage and piecing it together and doing the sound design. It's wild to see things come together, and the footage is so beautiful. Like Greg, our DP, just did such an amazing job. You know, it looks amazing. And it's so cool to shoot on cinematic cameras like the Arri, which we did, because the dynamic range is unbelievable. Like you have so much room to play with in terms of post-production that you don't have if you shoot on a DSLR, because of the image quality, you know, and it's unreal. Like it's crazy. Like I can only imagine what it's like to be able to work with that kind of shit all the time. You know, it's like, it's wild. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And, still a lot of work to do. But definitely exciting. Solid Saturn says, when do you think we will get a Halloween Kills poster? Probably not till the spring, I'm going to say, like maybe. And when I say spring, I mean, spring could be anywhere from the end of March to the end of, well, I consider June summer, really. I mean, even though summer doesn't officially begin by the calendar till like June 20th, I consider, well, you know, when you're in June, it feels like summer, right? And I know that the summer movie blockbuster season really, well, now it begins in like March, but it used to begin in May, right? But I consider spring I don't even consider March spring. But if you're looking at the calendar, spring to me is the end of March to the end of May. My birthday's May 24th. So right around the end of my birthday, let's say. But March is, if you live here in Canada or in the Northwest of the United States or New York or Pennsylvania or Minnesota or Connecticut or wherever you get snow a lot, like a real winter, not just a dumping every now and then, like they just had in Arizona, which is crazy. March is a winter month. Like it really is, despite what the calendar says. It's a winter month. And April is hit and miss. You know, sometimes it can be nice, sometimes it can be shitty. So, but yeah, anyway. So I'm thinking like spring, but that could be May. You know, so when I say spring, don't think of it as like, March, April. Probably May, maybe May. Maybe before then, but I'm feeling May. Maybe somewhere around there. Maybe June, probably May. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Will Michael sends in a $4.99 super chat. Oh, there we go. Over here on this page, it says US. That's funny. I wonder why it doesn't in the chat room though. Weird. Anyway, oh no, let me go back here. We got The Shape. Excuse me. I'll get to yours in a second, Will. The Shape sends in a $4.99 super chat. Says, hey Dave, how are you? Hope you're doing well. I am. Hope you are as well too. Would love to see a Mcrae live going in depth with the universe, galaxies, other life, etc. Cheers. Well, I'm no scientist and I'm certainly no astronaut. I'm not a physicist or I would go in depth. Only in depth in it, in the sense of just talking about how cool things are or what things could mean. Or, I certainly couldn't talk about it from the point of view of like a scientist, but that's kind of fun. It's fun to talk about that kind of stuff for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. David Lee Barron says, thoughts on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Great movie. Spielberg, 78. Yeah, I like it. Really, really solid film. Will Michael sends in a $4.99 super chat and says, hey Dave, hi Dave, long-time viewer, first-time super chatter. Well, welcome. Really appreciate that, Will. Says, love the channel, man. Can't wait to see you on Fandom Empire tonight with Sean and Jimmy. That is correct. That's right. Tonight I'll be on Fandom Empire with Sean and Jimmy Champagne. Make sure you go over there tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern to check it out. Dennis Williams sends in a $4.99 super chat and says, a lot of people don't know like Michael Jason didn't come literally. Hang on, let me try this again. A lot of people don't know, like Michael Jason didn't become literally supernatural until part 6, probably a lot less supernatural. Do you agree? If I'm understanding the question, you're basically saying that a lot of people don't realize that Michael and Jason didn't become literally supernatural until the later sequels. Yeah, I mean, Jason more so even than Michael. That's true. Michael was an enigma in the first movie. So there's no wait a second here. Let me just see here. Oh yeah, you guys can see me okay. Yeah, you guys can see me fine. Okay. For some reason on the live stream over here, it's all wonky and weird, and I don't know why. It only shows half of my face on the other page, but it shows me perfectly fine on the page where we're streaming. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm assuming everybody can see me okay, and not like half my face. I'm just going to assume that, or somebody would have yelled at me in the chat room. Yes, you are right. You are correct. In the first movie, Michael was, like, again, it's hard for people to, I often say this, it's very difficult for people to get into this mindset because of how many Halloween sequels we've had. And, I know this is going to sound like a broken record, but when you think of Michael in the first movie, I know it's very hard for people to think of Michael on his own and the original intent of that film because of all the sequels that came after it. And I get it, I understand that. But when that movie was made, there was no plan to make a sequel. So everything in that movie in terms of his character and the intent and all that was designed to be a one-off film. And so that's why there's this dichotomy when you watch Michael, even in part 2 or part 4, and how you try to connect dots to the original, and you can do it. I mean, you can push, square pegs into a round hole or whatever. You can certainly do that, but it's why certain things may not add up completely, or things are kind of off or weird. Michael in the first movie wasn't literally supernatural. You weren't supposed to know. I mean, he was a person, clearly. He was a little boy that grew up to be a man. So clearly he's human, he can bleed, all these things. But there's something off about him, there's something strange about him. And it wasn't until the later sequel, certainly by 4 and then 5, of course, and 6 with Cult of Thorn and things like that, he was literally supernatural. And I even think in part 2, they really played into the supernatural side of Michael a lot more, obviously. With Jason was always, really at the end of the day, Jason always had a supernatural element to him, because if you were to take it at face value and Jason drowned in the lake, but then came back, what is that? That doesn't make any sense, right? So obviously Jason, I would say that although there's no question left anymore when you get to Jason in part 6, because he's brought back to life as like zombie Jason by the lightning. I even think in part 1, he comes out of the water at the end, or what was that, a dream? Part 2, 3, 4. There is this supernatural element to him, unless you are to believe, and maybe there is this mythology out there, I don't really know, but unless we are to believe, unless these answers are out there. So Friday the 13th, super fans, let me know. And don't speculate like I am. If you really do know, you have to really do know. Not theories, not cool fan theories. Something that actually is canon. But as far as I know, Jason drowned in Crystal Lake, and he comes back to avenge his mother's death over and over and over again. Well, how do you do that unless you're not supernatural, right? And did Jason always look that way? I've seen artists' renditions of yes, he was a boy that always looked like that, which is part of the reason why he was made fun of. Or did drowning in the lake and the residual effects of the water and being in the lake and all that stuff or whatever, did that not have an effect on his appearance as well? And if you don't believe he drowned in the lake, and you don't believe that he was supernatural at all, well, then that means, if you don't believe Jason was supernatural in the first 4 or 5 or the first 4 Friday the 13th movies, then that means you would have to believe that he didn't drown in the lake and that people thought he drowned, but he just lived the rest of his life in the woods as some crazy beast man, Bigfoot in the woods, and just ate the animals raw and just looked weird and hid out in a cave or something, and just became this weird guy, you know what I mean? Which is entirely possible, I guess. I don't think that was the direction they were going with, though. So I always think there's far more of a supernatural element to Jason than Michael ever was. Like they definitely play into that more right from the very start. But if there was ever any question about whether he had some sort of by the time you get to 6, he's a complete zombie. He's brought back to life, and then 7, of course, is just silly, and so yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would say. Let's see here. Let me go to the other stuff. Real Reveal sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Real. Says, hey, Dave, when will we see the final trailer for It's Me, Billy? Also, will the release date be on the trailer? And when will Billy actor be revealed? I can't wait for it. I don't know. No, I kind of know. We want to release now, obviously, this is a short film. So there's only so much you can put in a trailer for a short film without giving the whole fucking movie away. We don't have the material to make like this, but there are ways to do it. There are ways to put out like a, minute and a half, 90-second, whatever trailer of It's Me, Billy, showing you some things maybe you've seen before, showing you some new things you haven't seen, and making it feel fresh and new. I don't know because it's still in post-production, but I'm hoping maybe next month, maybe April. I think April would probably be the latest in terms of when you'd probably see it. But I don't know. Our goal is to have a release date attached to it, but we need to get further ahead in post-production before we can feel confident in that release date. One of the reasons why we said spring 2021 is because that gives us technically a 3-month window. Now, we knew it wasn't going to be March 20th or the 21st. We knew that. But that gives us a window of we could release it in April, we could release it in May. Technically, even though I just said I consider June more of a summer month, technically, according to the calendar, it's still, late spring, right? So we could release it in June, technically. So that's why we put spring 2021, is because we wanted to give ourselves some leeway because, there's a lot of work to do on post-production. And we want to make sure that things are solid. So our goal is when the trailer is released, the official trailer, not the teaser from a month or so ago, that at the end of that, you'll see an official release date. But then if there is an official release date, not that, release dates can't change. Obviously, if something were to happen and we couldn't release the movie in the spring and we had to wait till July or something to that effect, obviously we will do that. We're not going to, we want the movie to be the best that it can possibly be for when you guys see it. And if there's one thing that's happening all the time now is release dates for films are changing, left, right, and center. Now, we're obviously not reliant on COVID and movie theaters and things like that. But there's a variety of reasons why, release dates change. And sometimes it is because the movie's not ready. So it wouldn't be unprecedented. But right now, we're still on track. We're still on track for spring in that 3-month window. And our goal is we would like, if we release the trailer, if the trailer has a release date, like an actual date, we want it to make it feel like clean and crisp and, tight. We want to be able to commit to that. We want to be able to stay true to that date. So we'll see what happens. And when will the actor for Billy be revealed? Probably maybe after the movie's released. He's a great guy. He totally buys into it. He loves it. He loves the idea of the anonymity of keeping him a secret. He likes it. He understands it, and right now we haven't put him on IMDb and things like that. His name is on the official poster, not on the poster that's online right now, but because that poster doesn't have the billing block, but the billing block is the text of all the names and shit like that you see at the bottom of the poster. We do have the posters that you guys are going to be getting. For those of you that ordered a poster, signed or not signed, will have the billing block at the bottom, and his name is in the billing block, so you'll know his name by that. But maybe somewhere around there, you know, when we feel it's necessary, you'll definitely get more of Billy in the trailer. I'll say that. I mean, you know, that's when you'll probably get a little more Billy. But yeah. Billy Van says, Dave, what's one memory that you cherish in your voiceover career? Oh, that's a great question, man. One memory that I cherish in my voiceover career. Well, there's a lot, dude. I mean, I've been doing this now. It's funny. When I left college in 2001 and I decided to pursue my on-camera acting career, which then fell into voiceover and things like that. I mean, that's 20 years I've been in the entertainment industry now. This year. It'd be this like this June or something. 'Cause in February of 2001, I was still in college, but I don't know. I've been full-time now for 15 years. Since 2006, you know, was the last time I wasn't full-time as a voice actor. You know, I'd probably say these are 4 different memories, but I'd probably say so far, I've worked with some pretty cool people, and I mean, I'd probably say my 4 Voice Arts Awards nominations, I think are probably, that's really, really cool. And you know, to be nominated once is amazing. To be nominated 4 times in 5 years is incredible. And my first 3 nominations were for Best National Television Promo. And then my last nomination in 2019 was for Outstanding Body of Work. And I mean, that's amazing, you know, and to be able to walk the red carpet, you know, with the likes of, you know, Sigourney Weaver and William Shatner and Rosario Dawson was there. I remember I think we were behind her. We were behind her. We were behind Rosario Dawson. And then behind us, down a bit, was Sigourney Weaver. And I remember when we got to the end, and that was the year that I actually invited Mickey, who plays Richie in the original Halloween. I invited him and his daughter. His daughter's a huge voiceover fan. And she knows everything there is now about voiceover. She's a sweetheart. And I invited them to the Voice Arts Awards. They came. And I remember when myself and my girlfriend, when we exited the red carpet, about to make our way into the theater, we had stopped because Mickey was there with his daughter, and we were talking, and we were just talking about being there and all that kind of stuff. And then Sigourney Weaver was behind us away, but she had finished and she walked by us and she brushed by us, you know, and it's just cool to see her. She was radiant, you know, she was in this beautiful green dress, like almost a forest green, I guess, maybe a bit brighter. She looked beautiful. I mean, she's like 70 something. She looks gorgeous. And it's just cool. I think to know that my work is recognized at that level, I think is something that I will always cherish. You know, I know there's four years there where I went, but I think I sort of include that into one memory, you know, all of that. It was an amazing experience. And I mean, I didn't win, I haven't won yet, but it really, and it sounds like an overused cliche, but it is true that being nominated, I mean, yes, everybody wants to win, of course, but that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool to be able to be at Warner Brothers and walking that red carpet and seeing these people there, and it's surreal. Like, it really is. It's surreal. it doesn't, from the first time that I went to the last time that I went in 2019, it still is surreal, so I would definitely say that is something that I hold dear, that I will definitely cherish. And then just working with amazing people. I've worked with Emmy-nominated directors and producers, and some of the highlights, of course, for me, I think one of my biggest highlights was getting to do a couple of movie promos for It Chapter 1. That was really, really, really cool. And that was something that, it's just, again, cool. Like, it's like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And, and you never lose that perspective. I think for me, I've never lost that perspective of appreciation, knowing where you come from and knowing where you're at and appreciating the moment when you're in the moment, never losing sight of that, I think is really, really important. Don't get caught up in all the hoopla of the Hollywood, you know what I mean? Just laser focused, because it can be easy to do that. And I think it's easier when you're a voice actor because of the anonymity of it. It's easier to blend in and to, disappear and be out of the limelight, and because people don't know your face. Of course, unless you're doing this on YouTube, but they don't know your face. So it's easier, you know what I mean? But always kind of keep laser focused and just eye on the ball, keep your eye on the ball, as they used to say in Little League. So that's there's so much. God, I'm just thinking of the funny times and the crazy things. And I remember also too, this it's got to be over 12 years or so ago. I got an email from somebody who was helping psychiatric patients at the Toronto General Hospital. And they were inpatients, so they weren't outpatients. They were there at the hospital dealing with all sorts of mental trauma and things like that. And this person reached out to me, again, this is like 2008 or 9, and asked me, their job, I don't know if they were with the University of Toronto or not, but their job was to go to the hospital and showcase to these people, interesting things, and, just to keep their minds stimulated and off the negative things that they think about. And she reached out to me, I forget her name now, and she asked me if I would be willing to come to the Toronto General Hospital. I did it twice, to the Toronto General Hospital, and I don't know about, not teach voiceover, but do a talk, about here's who I am, here's what I do, and I was like, oh, sure. Okay. I'll do that. Like, that was an interesting, that's an interesting experience. Right. So I did that twice, and that was very interesting, walking down those halls into a room where you have like real, this isn't a movie. This is, you know what I mean? And it was an interesting experience, and you could tell, there were people in there, you could feel it, nobody I don't know what they were in there for. It's not like they gave me a list of, well, Bob's in here because he tried to murder his wife, or, whatever. I didn't get that. I didn't get that, that list, but it was interesting to see them, and you can tell that they've had rough lives, but they really appreciated it. They liked what I did, and you could see them crack smiles, and they had questions, and so that's something I'll cherish too. But see, it's hard to pick one, man. It's hard to pick one. You know what I mean? It's hard to pick one, but pretty cool though. Pretty cool indeed. Rio Reveal says, when will some of the perks be shipped? Shirts, posters. Also, what was your favorite memory of filming? It's me, Billy. And what was your last or least? Billy is back. The perks are still being created. So the t-shirts are being made and things like that. I'm hoping I can get some of the perks out, because it's difficult right now too, because of shipping and how long shipping it, or how long things are taking to get to people. I did get all the Christmas ornaments out. So hopefully everybody who ordered a Christmas ornament, a Lynn Griffin Christmas ornament, received them. If you did not receive it, please get in touch with me. But I assume everybody did, because I didn't hear from anybody after I made the announcement that I had. I would say that, I have a batch of posters here that are ready to go. I just got to get poster tubes for them. I got to print off the retro posters. The t-shirts are still being printed. So it's going to take a little bit. You know what I mean? You're going to get all this stuff, in the first half of this year, I would imagine. I don't think it's going to take, Now, the Blu-ray won't be till later, obviously, because the movie has to be out before the Blu-ray can be out. And there's other things we want to put on the Blu-ray, like special features and not deleted scenes, but, behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. So that takes a bit more time. But yeah, like t-shirts and posters and things like that, we want to roll out over the next few months. So I will keep you posted. The shitty thing is, though, when I went up to the post office yesterday, I had to fill out, because most of you aren't in Canada. And I know Real Reveal is, he's down the street from me. But most people I have to ship and I have to fill out, custom forms, which is fine. And I actually would rather do it by hand. But now they want you to do it on your phone. And I'm like, I have to fill out an individual custom form for everybody digitally. And I'm like, oh my God, that's going to take of course I'm going to do it, but it's going to take so long. I'd rather just have a stack in my hand and just go rip, rip. For some reason, it just feels easier than doing it on my phone digitally. And it's insane. I was like, I hope maybe I can do it the other way and I don't have to do it this way, unless it's like a new COVID thing or something and they're trying to, I don't know. It's insane. It's insane. But, and then my favorite memory from filming It's Me, Billy, oh, dude, I would say favorite memory from filming It's Me, Billy. That it's hard to say. The whole week was amazing. The whole week was really cool. There were a couple of moments, one in particular that I can't tell you because it's a spoiler, but there were a couple of moments. And this one moment in particular where we had shot this several times and Bruce was actually because we're directing the film together, obviously. Bruce was actually in the room watching the performance. So he was actually in the room with Greg, with our boom operator, Adrian. I think our gaffer, Nikita, might have been in the room as well. And then, of course, the actors. And I was down the hall in another room watching it on the monitor because sometimes Bruce and I would tag team that way because he's watching it in the moment, but I'm watching it on the monitor of what it's going to look like in the movie. So there's two different reasons why you would do that. And sometimes we went back and forth with that. So I was watching it on the monitor and I remember this last take. It was the last take we did of this and it was brilliant. And during the outtake, when you watch the footage back, you can hear me way off in the distance, like, yes, that's it. And Bruce is like, yes. It was just a really cool moment to be able to go through several takes and then finally nail it the way that you want it. You know what I mean? And so that was fun. And that happened a couple of times. But overall, it was just a really great week. It was a great experience. Like I've said, everybody else on set was far more experienced in their jobs than Bruce and I were in the roles we were in at this level. So it was really cool to have a few of the guys come up to us and say, this was amazing, and say that you would never have known that you hadn't handled a set before. Like you guys were awesome. Like I said, at this level, right, is what we're talking about. And that was a great thing to hear. But it was only achievable because of how prepared Bruce and I were, right? From the very beginning, we were prepared. And that's great to do that because the next time you want to make a movie and you want to hire a crew, that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do it. It doesn't mean that they'd want to do it. But there's a higher probability that they're going to be like, Dave and Bruce are making a movie again? They want me to, I'm in. Because the experience was so good. Do Do you know what I mean? And that goes right across the board with the actors and the crew and craft services and the people who own the house and renting the location and insurance companies and lighting and grip companies. I mean, it's everything. If you can make sure that the experience for everybody is, you know what I mean? Then the next time you come a knocking, they're going to be like, let's do it. So I just think the whole that, and it doesn't mean not every film set that happens, obviously, but it was a great experience the whole week. And what was my least favorite? My least favorite was probably my least favorite memory from the week. I don't really think there was one. I don't think so. I don't think there was one. I'm being totally honest. I just don't think there was one. There wasn't anything that happened that week that I was like, oh, fuck. Nothing. Now, maybe the crew has some. I don't know, but I can't think of anything. Great question, though. Thanks, buddy. Wayne Gotke says, Dave, try to pick Sean's brain tonight on this mystery casting with Halloween Ends. A lot of people are saying it's Danielle Harris, believe it or not. I've heard about this. I don't know. I have my thoughts on that. I'm not, unless Danielle Harris is playing Jamie Lloyd, she shouldn't be in the movie, and unless you're turning Halloween Ends into the best of, and well, it's the last one, so we got to get everybody in there. I just don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like it. I don't want to see, if you want Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, then you do a sequel to Halloween 4. That's what you do. Now, that would never fly in a movie theater. You'd probably have to, if at the very most, it would probably, or at least you'd probably have to have it in street. I don't think we'll ever see that. But the mystery, and Danielle Harris is back, and she's playing Julie, some woman we've never heard of. And everybody gets so, wow, look, there they are. And I've said it before. I don't want to see her back because I'm not seeing Jamie Lloyd. It's not Jamie Lloyd. And if they find a way to twist it and turn it and squeeze it to fit the Jamie Lloyd in there somehow, but what does that mean? All of a sudden that means that all the Halloween movies you said weren't canon are canon. Oh, no, it's an alternate reality. Just fuck off with that shit. No, she doesn't belong in there. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. You have a lot of fans that would be excited about it because there's a lot of fans that disagree with me on this point. But my point has always been that fans don't just want, and when I say fans, I mean generally speaking, fans don't just want Danielle Harris back. They want to see Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd because it's the character of Jamie Lloyd that you are emotionally attached to. It's the character of Jamie Lloyd that gives you the feels. It would be like having Harrison Ford in a Star Wars movie, but he's not playing Han Solo. That makes no fucking sense. And yeah, it's Harrison Ford, but if he's not playing Han Solo, it baffles me how anybody could get any sort of nostalgic emotional feels by seeing Harrison Ford if he's playing Jim Bob Bo. I don't get it. Yes, it's Harrison Ford. Yes, he looks like Han Solo because it's the same actor, but if he's actually not playing Han Solo, I myself don't get lost in any sort of nostalgic euphoria because I know that that's not Han Solo. So everything, I'm not seeing Han Solo. I want to see Han Solo. I want to see Han Solo. I want to see Han Solo. And you want to see Jamie Lloyd. Not some alternate reality Jamie Lloyd, the Jamie Lloyd from Halloween 4, the Jamie Lloyd from Halloween 5. And in this new timeline, she does not exist. Now, could you bring her back into the fold and all of a sudden she does exist? Well, sure, but then that means that 4 and 5 are now all of a sudden canon. And where the fuck does that leave you? What the hell does that mean? Right? And 6 is canon too, despite the fact that, it's a different actress. So I just always been like, if they bring her back, they'll bring her back as an homage, as a nod, paying respect. This could be the last time that Danielle Harris could ever be in a Halloween movie, right? I mean, let's say, right? So what they'll do is they'll bring her back and she'll be playing Julie Schmidt or something, the convenience store clerk that's got some cameo with Jamie Lee Curtis, or she'll play a nurse. Maybe she's going to play a nurse at the hospital or a cop that talks to Jamie Lee Curtis, and maybe there'll be some funky, funny line in there like, you know, you kind of remind me of my mom. You know, I could totally fucking see that. Couldn't you see that? Couldn't you see them doing something as chintzy and cheap like that? Maybe some of you guys would really like that, but it's too on the nose for me. It's too lame and cheesy and chintzy, and I just don't want to see some scenario where Jamie Lee Curtis is, where Danielle Harris is playing some cop, so she's in a Halloween movie, right? Okay, we've got you in the Halloween movie now, and maybe her last name is Lloyd, you know what I mean? You know, it's got a little Lloyd on her shirt, right? And she's talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, and her parting, remark is, you know, you kind of remind me of my mom, you know? And Jamie Lee Curtis is like, oh, well, yeah, you know, or it's like, oh, and the fans will go, oh, but it's not, I don't like that. It's cheap. So that's how I feel about that. If they were to do that. Imagine this, what you really want, like I said, and it doesn't mean that you wouldn't settle. But let's be honest here. I think that's what all of us would be doing. If we all said, okay, bring Jamie Lloyd back, you'd be settling. You'd be going, well, what I really want is Jamie Lloyd. Danielle Harris, I should have said back. What I really want is Jamie Lloyd, but I can't get her because that doesn't exist anymore. So I'll just take the scraps. I'm just going to take the scraps because I'm so fucking desperate. You know what I mean? And again, I speak... And there's people out there, I'm offended. Listen, not everybody agrees with me, okay? But this is how I see it. I'm a very linear storyteller. I like clean lines, well-defined plots and narratives and things like that, you know, in terms of structure. And it gets messy to me when you start just shoehorning fan service and shit like that. Danielle Harris doesn't belong in this movie. It's no disrespect to Danielle Harris. We love Danielle Harris. I think she's great. This is about the character. This isn't about her as an actress. This is about the character. The character doesn't belong. The reason why she wasn't cast as Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter in Halloween 18 is because she doesn't exist. You know, I mean, that's why, you know, if Halloween 18 was a sequel to Halloween 4 and they didn't cast Jamie Lloyd or Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, I'd be right there with you. I'd be going, the fuck? That makes no sense. You have this opportunity to cast Jamie Lloyd because you're doing a sequel to Halloween 4 and you don't do it? You don't cast Danielle Harris to play Jamie Lloyd? That doesn't make any sense. There's my rant. There's my tantrum. I wasn't going to get into it, but I had to get into it. So if they do cast Danielle Harris, the probability is high that she'll be playing some other person. And the probability is high that they will have some sort of little nod like what I just said. You know, you kind of remind me of my mom. And that gives the fans go, ooh, she said you might have a mom. You know what? It's like a wink to the audience. Hey. And it's like, fuck off, get out of here. I don't need that. Just concentrate on the fucking story. Give me a good Halloween movie. I don't need that. I don't need that. I haven't had it in 30 years. I don't need it now. You know what I mean? But if they ever wanted to do anything with that character, like a sequel to 4, now that's interesting. Pretending that 5 doesn't exist and 6 doesn't exist, and you do a sequel to 4, now that's interesting. That's interesting. There you go. Matthew Foresi says, Dave, would you and Tony ever watch The Changeling on Two Dudes? Such a great movie. Are you talking about the 2008 movie or the, I'm assuming that you're talking about the George C. Scott one. Yeah, I'd be down for it. I think it's a great movie. I haven't watched it in quite some time, but I would be down for it. That's a good movie. I'll bring it up to Tony and see what he thinks. I don't know if Tony's ever seen it. David Lee Barron says, thoughts on chakras? I don't know. I have no thoughts, man. I really don't. I really don't. Cody Buchanan says, hey, Dave, what's your favorite opening scene in a movie? For me, it has to be Scream or Jaws. My favorite opening scene in any movie, the first thing that comes to mind is Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that's such a great opening scene. Jaws is a great opening scene. I would say, yeah, Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those are the two that just came to my head immediately. I'd have to think of a few more, but Raiders is classic. Hans Gruber sends in a $5 super chat, says, when you insured the production of It's Me, Billy, is it a company that specializes in movie production? Yes. Is the quote negotiated or a blanket quote? Yes, it's negotiated based on many factors. The production insurance company is called Front Row Productions. I believe it's Front Row. I think it's called Front Row. And they insure everything from independent films to major Hollywood features to, everything. They're based here in Toronto, and that's what they specialize in. So you would go to them, as we did, and we say, here's what we're dealing with. Here's the production. Here's how long we're shooting. Here's where we're shooting. Here's who's involved. All the details that you would need when gaining legitimate proper insurance. And then of course you're covered for a certain amount of liability and, damage and all that kind of stuff. And there's a policy that you take out that is valid from the time, I think it's valid before you start shooting and a few days after you stop, things like that. But yes, I believe it's called Front Row, if I'm not mistaken. First time I've dealt with them, but Bruce, working boots on the ground as he does at White's, has dealt with them on a number of occasions. All right, I think I'm caught up with that. Let's see what people... Rick Baker, I haven't seen you in quite some time. Says, I agree with you on Danielle Harris. For a film that is supposed to be erasing the history of the series, I can't stomach 3 movies paying constant homage to something it divorced itself from. I totally agree. And it just doesn't, I don't know. I guess I just, it just fascinates me how people can be, and listen, everybody's different. I'm not knocking anybody, okay? Because I do know that I am, for the most part, I think, I stand to be corrected, but I think I'm alone or pretty much alone in our horror community in terms of the other channels in my views on this. I believe I am, because I believe if you were to ask the other channels, they would probably be, they'd probably be all for it. And that's totally cool. Like I don't have any issues with that. But for me, I've always been kind of like, yeah, but that's not, like, I've been like, come on. I guess I sort of sometimes feel that people, and this is a generalization, a general observation, okay, that I just sometimes people aren't being truthful to themselves, that they're so desperate to have Danielle Harris back in a Halloween movie that they'll just have her as some other character back. And at the end of the day, I don't believe that that's what people want. I don't believe it. I believe what they really want is Jamie Lloyd back. And unfortunately, and I just don't see how you can get the same emotional nostalgic euphoria by seeing Danielle Harris in a Halloween movie if she's not playing Jamie Lloyd. Because imagine her as Jamie Lloyd. Like, think about it. Think about this. Imagine Danielle Harris in a Halloween movie as Jamie Lloyd years later. And whoa, that's Jamie Lloyd. Because then you know that character you're watching on screen has all the memories that you have of her. You know what I mean? Has all those memories from part 4 and part 5. She has, or maybe there is no part 5 and it's a sequel to part 4. So let's just say that, right? But she has all those memories from part 4, being in the clown costume, riding in the truck with Rachel, right? Getting picked on, boogeyman, Jamie's uncle's the boogeyman. All that, she's got all those memories, all that. That's the Jamie Lloyd. That's the Jamie Lloyd, man. That's her. Wow. Look, there she is 30 years later. You know what I mean? And you get this cool goosebumpy feeling by watching her because you're watching the same character. She's the same girl that you remember too. And you get to watch her, and her journey and her reminisce. And maybe she has PTSD, or maybe she has an emotional moment, where she sees Halloween, and she has a moment, there's a flashback, and you can live through that with her. And it's so cool, right? It's so fucking cool. It's the same coolness that you felt, maybe you didn't feel it, but it's the same coolness that I felt when Han Solo came on to the Millennium Falcon for the first time in 30 fucking years. There he is with Chewie. Chewie, we're home. Oh my God. Why did it make people cry? Why were hardcore Star Wars fans weeping when they saw that trailer back in 2015? Why? Because it was Han Solo. Not because it was Jim Bob Joe, because it was Han fucking Solo. It was Harrison Ford as Han Solo. Oh my God, my childhood. Nostalgia can be a very powerful thing, but if it's not the same character, it won't have the same impact. It'll just be, oh, that was sweet. That was nice that they threw them a bone. And that's all it is. So I just can't help but get past the feeling of, come on, let's have some standards here. But at the end of the day, I mean, if people just want her in there just to tip her, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And I have no issues with that. But that's how I see it anyway. That's how I see it. Where we are here. Bobby Reeves says, hey, Dave, any closer to Nightmare shooting? I don't know, guys. I get asked this a lot. I think you should reach out to Cecil Laird of The Horror Show. He's the executive producer. He's the writer. He's the director. All I can say again is that the movie is still happening. I'm not a producer on the project like I am with It's Me, Billy, so I don't have a lot of the answers that you're looking for. I'm just an actor. As far as I know, it's still happening. They're working on the makeup. It's in pre-production, but because of COVID, they've had to delay it. But as far as I know, it's still going, man. It's still going to happen. I'm going to be Freddy opposite Miko Hughes, tearing him apart. It's going to be fun. And right now, of course, because I'm in Toronto, I'm in Canada, the border's closed. So I can't even fly there. And if I was to fly there, I'd have to quarantine before I could even do anything. It's a whole shit show right now. It's an entire shit show. So, but yeah, I'm excited to do it, man. I want to fucking do this shit. It's going to be great when we can actually get rolling on that. David Lee Barron says, $1.99 super chat says, any tips for being a script supervisor? Well, I mean, I don't know, David. I've never been a script. Well, it's not true. I've done a lot of roles. I was sort of the script supervisor on It's Me, Billy, actually. Just be as familiar with the script as you possibly can. Know everything about it. If you have any questions whatsoever, ask the producer, ask the director, so that you are paying attention to continuity. You are paying attention to scenes and the schedule and what's going on, if something's out of place or if something, like, for example, there was a scene in It's Me, Billy that we shot the whole scene. And then we realized that a paper towel roll was in the background. And it was just a mistake. And we're like, oh my God, the paper towel roll was not supposed to be there. And then of course we had to shoot the scene again, which was not a big deal. But things like that, make sure that, everything lines up with continuity. The script well. You're marking down. I don't know how in depth this production is, but another job of the script supervisor is to write down the takes. So if you let's say you do 5 takes, right? And you're writing down the takes and you're on like the 3rd or 4th take. If the director turns to you, or if the assistant, director, the AD, turns to you and says, that's a good take, mark that down. If you've ever seen that, where a director says, okay, cut, or the assistant director's like, okay, cut, mark it, right? You'll hear that. That means that's a good take. Mark that down. They're saying that to the script supervisor, mark that down as a good take, so that when you get into editing, that, what, we really liked take 3 of this. And there's been many things like that with It's Me, Billy too. There's a lot of takes that we knew we weren't going to use the first 3 takes. We knew we were going to use take 3. So we just go right to that one. So be as familiar with the script as you possibly can and ask questions. If you have any questions, if you're unsure, do not hesitate to ask, because you need to be on your game as well. Chris Baber says, $4.99 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Sorry, I'm just getting here. No worries. How vital do you think bracket will be in kills? I think a creepy, quiet conversation will happen like Loomis had. Well, I think I've speculated on, look, I know there is a leaked script out there for Halloween Kills. I know this. And I have skimmed through it. But everything that I continue to say about Halloween Kills are things that I've been saying long before there was a leaked script out there. And it's primarily just because of my understanding about story structure and probability of where this is likely going to go and what is likely going to happen. I've always said that bracket is not going to have a gigantic role, but that's not rocket science. The guy's in his 80s. And he's coming back and he's going to have screen time. And I knew he was going to have screen time. He's going to have screen time with Laurie. That's self-explanatory. You don't need to, that's not a spoiler. That's just obvious, and, but I don't think he's got a big role. I don't think it's a big role. I think it's a role, and he's there, and it's more than a cameo, but it's not like he's out there on the front lines tearing shit up. At least not like I think it will be very similar to how we've always seen Brackett. You know, how we've always seen him. You know, I mean, if you were to add up the minutes of his screen time in the original Halloween, I mean, what is it? Like 3 minutes or something? 4 minutes? I mean, it's not a lot. And Halloween 2, it's less. So I think it'll be somewhere probably in that realm as well, maybe a bit longer. Will they have a conversation? Yeah, probably, because you're going to want to reintroduce, you want the audience to see the reintroduction of those characters to each other. So you want the audience to feel, here's an opportunity where you can feel nostalgia, right? Now imagine if Charles Cyphers was not playing Lee Brackett. Imagine if he was playing just some hospital nurse named, Jim, and he comes in. Yeah, you'd freak out because it's Charles Cyphers, but you wouldn't have the same, oh my God, that you would have if it was Charles, or if it was Lee Brackett, right? Yeah, they're going to want to tap into that. They're going to want to definitely tap into this idea of, hey, here's an opportunity that we can have some nostalgia and, really milk the goosebumpy tears here to have Laurie and Brackett in the same room and reconnecting after years apart or something to that degree. And I speculated on that before as well. So I assume that that's going to happen. And yeah, I mean, just, and everything I'm saying to you now is not, I can separate what I have read of the leaked script and what I think is going to happen. I'm not giving any spoilers, just so you know, because there's going to be some people out there that's going to say, oh, he's read the script. Now he's just making predictions based on the script and it's going to come true. Nope. Not at all. And if you go back to the predictions I was talking about in 2019, when I released my sequel concept idea video, there's a lot of things in that video, in my idea, that look like have sort of, in some sort of way, have tend to come to be in a different way, but is the idea and things like that. And that's not because I had any inside knowledge at that time. It was because I understood probability of where likely the story is going to go. So, and I'm not saying that my sequel concept idea is what they're doing. It's not, but there's similarities, there's parallels. So I've been talking about this forever and I can separate myself from that. But yeah, I think Brackett is, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I think it's going to be fun, but I don't expect like a gigantic role or anything like that. I wouldn't think anyway. Let's see here. Andreas Mendez says Halloween 5 has some really good things in it. Pumpkin intro. Yep, that was good. Had a great intro. Fantastic use of light and shadow in some scenes. Has a quick pace. The barn and car chase scene. I would say the barn is probably it's probably its most suspenseful moment. That and maybe the laundry chute scene. Oh, you say the laundry chute there. Yeah, I mean, there's isolated things in a vacuum, but you can do that with most bad movies. You can say, well, that shot was good. That moment was good. I liked that 30 seconds, but, 30 seconds here, 5 seconds there, a nice use of light and shadow there doesn't make up a good movie. Even Halloween Resurrection has some, has a certain shot that is really good or a certain moment that's kind of cool or, whatever the case is, right? Even The Last Jedi looks fantastic. It has some incredible moments of, now that's really cool. Ooh, I really like that. Ooh, I love the way they did that. But we're talking about overall, right? In terms of its structure, its pacing, its story. You can look at anything isolated in a vacuum and it looks really good. But you have to watch it as a whole. That's sometimes why I say this too, that when you are editing a movie together, you can sometimes watch the same thing over and over again. And this happens to me. It's happened to me with It's Me, Billy, right? When we are putting together Billy's phone calls and we're there and we can watch it, just the scene, and it's like, wow, this is great. But when you watch the whole movie as a whole up to that point, you realize, oh my God, the pacing doesn't work, or that actually doesn't work. Oh, that didn't hit the way I thought it did. Because now you're watching it as a whole and not in a vacuum. So I agree with you. There are definitely some cool things in Halloween 5, but that in and of itself doesn't make it a great movie. Not saying that you did say that. I just, am adding that to it. Let me see. Evil Alex says, Dave, why do you think big studios keep doing woke PC films even though they bomb every time? Ghostbusters 2016, I actually like that movie. Dark Fate, I didn't mind it. Charlie's Angels, never saw it. Black Christmas, crap, and more. Why don't they just why they just not honor the films before? Well, I mean, listen, Hollywood has always been in the game of curving, and this is not new. This goes back to the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. When you work in Hollywood, you were yes, I mean, look, how do I say this? I'm trying to compartmentalize my thoughts. It's not either or, it's both. So it's not that studios keep doing this. It's that studios see trends. They want to capitalize on trends. They see what makes money and they see what doesn't. That's why you will not get a Black Christmas sequel to 2019, because it didn't make money. So that's why they're not going to do it. That's why you're not going to see a sequel to Ghostbusters 2016. I actually didn't mind Ghostbusters 2016. I thought it was actually very entertaining. But yes, they do it because they are in a position to change culture and to change narratives and to make things more socially acceptable and to make things more accepted, seen, giving minorities, and whether that's women, whether that's people of color, whether that's, whether you're Black, Asian, Indian, whatever, right? And in principle, I think that is a tremendous idea. I would like to think that in principle, there's nobody in the chat room here or nobody watching me that would not agree with that. Yeah, that's cool in principle. It's often in the execution that becomes very tacky, pretentious, condescending, and it just fails. And it's usually in the execution because they try to shove it down your throat instead of doing it organically and in a way that feels organic through subtext or, through a curve that isn't so steep, kind of just do it in stages. And I don't mean make every movie like that, but to raise people up a bit more. And again, that's why I say to people, I wasn't a big fan of the movie Us. It was okay. But what I loved about that movie was that it could have been any family, and it just so happened to be a Black family. It could have been any family. I thought my lip was bleeding for a minute. It could have been any family, but it just so happened to be a Black family. And I love things like that. I do, because and it's not that there aren't movies that deal with Black culture and that shouldn't be made. 100% they should. Oh yeah, 100%. Totally down for it. But it's nice to see sometimes, as a white man, it's nice to see sometimes the stereotypes not played into. It's nice to see people as people. And I really like that, because I don't want to have an association all the time that, when I think of a Black cast, I think of Barbershop, or when I think of a Black cast, I think of the TV show Blackish, or when I think of, I don't want to, that's fine and dandy. That's fun. And they're great shows and they're funny movies, but it's nice to see just people, you know what I mean? And just, hey, I like that kind of stuff. And that to me is how you really raise people up, is you create more opportunities in regular situations, not just buying into the stereotypes. So that's what I really liked about Us, actually. Not that Jordan Peele doesn't always have sort of that racial slant to his movies. He does, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it read that to me. Whereas, although I like the movie Get Out better, clearly it was, there was a black and white thing, right? Which is okay. I mean, that's totally fine. But it's nice to see movies with a black cast or an Asian cast, and I know there's the filthy rich Asians, and that's funny, and that's fine too. And there's nothing wrong with that. It was a really funny movie. But I like seeing and there's room for that. Totally 100%. It's funny shit, man. It is. But it's nice to see them cast in other things too, that have nothing to do with race. There's no subtext to poking fun at nothing. They're just people, and that's awesome. I think that's awesome because that's what I want to see too. I don't want to have this association all the time, of the stereotype. Because that's what we're trying to get rid of, is we're trying to get rid of the stereotype and say, hey, I'm just like you. You're just like me. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's differences, obviously, but we're people too. You know what I mean? We have feelings. We bleed. You know what I mean? Like we're people. We're not the scary monsters everybody thinks everybody is, and we're afraid of you and you're afraid of us and all this kind of stuff, right? So I like that kind of stuff personally, but I don't know, man. I mean, I don't really think about it, Evil Alex. I mean, I just, anytime I see a movie that seems pretentious or condescending to me, I walk away. And Black Christmas 2019, I think, was one of those films. I think the idea was fine. I just don't think you should have called it Black Christmas. I don't think there's anything wrong with what they did, but riding on the coattails of the Black Christmas IP, I think was a mistake. Because it was clearly a movie that had a political agenda. It was a movie with a political message attached to it, it was a political message with a movie attached to it, not a movie with a political message. It was too on the nose, not a lot of subtext. And it just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I know a lot of women that don't like that movie. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of women that do, but I know a lot of women, a lot of left-leaning women, by the way, okay, because most people in this industry are left. I know a lot of left-leaning women that didn't like it. And I asked them, why don't you like it? And they said, because it's condescending, because it's treating me like I don't know, like I'm five, and it's like, I don't want to be talked to that way. Just make a good movie. You know what I mean? So not all women liked it, and I think they should have just called it something else. Like I've often said, but who knows, man? Who knows? I think there's room for a lot of things. My issue has always been, don't be condescending, don't be preachy, don't be pretentious, don't think your audience is stupid. Make a good movie, make a good story with great performances, and the rest will follow. Chris Baber sends in another $4.99 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, have you considered doing horror movie location videos with your thoughts? Friday the 13th, 1 to 6, Nightmare on Elm Street, etc. Your H18 convention location video was amazing. I would, dude, but I have to get to the United States to do that. If I want to do anything Friday the 13th, well, I guess I could go out to Vancouver, but that's a lot just to do that because they did shoot a few, some Friday the 13th things out there. But Nightmare on Elm Street is the States. I do want to show you guys the original Black Christmas house, though. I do want to show you guys the original Black Christmas house. Now, it's on a private residence. It's on a private street. So I have to, be careful. But I would like to show you that. That's one of the things that I want to do, is show you the original Black Christmas house here in Toronto. So I could show you that. And it takes a lot of work to do that, though, Chris. It's a good idea. And the Halloween was easy to do because it's my favorite horror movie of all time, so I'm really passionate about it. But it was also because I was in LA. I was already in Los Angeles. I didn't fly to LA to do that. I was already there. And it was just very easy to do. And the Elm Street house is literally down the street from the Doyle and Wallace house. So it was like, So, but to do all the others would be, I'd have to, I got to get to the States. I got to figure out just a lot of time, a lot of money. So probably not. It's probably not going to happen unless I happen to be in the location where that is. Like if I happen to be in New Jersey, close to Camp OB Bosco or whatever it's called, like down the street or whatever, well then sure. But I'm not going to travel to New Jersey just specifically to do that. The return just wouldn't, it doesn't make much sense really at the end of the day. And there's so many people that have already done it. I don't know how much, I don't know what other new things I could add. Now, I wouldn't be the only one that has done Black Christmas. There have been people that have done the Black Christmas house, but it's very far and few between. It's not as saturated. So that's something, and it's down the street from me. That's something I could do. I probably have a lot to say on it. Twisted SMF says, there are so many things that had a woman in a lead role and it was great. Sarah Connor, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The problem is what Dave said. They use an agenda to shove a point. Well, I mean, again, it's not black and white like that, but yes, if any studio or if anybody suggests that there were never strong female leads prior to 2015 or something, that's just categorically false. I mean, that is statistically, factually incorrect. So I do agree with that point, 100%. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, what is your favorite John Carpenter movie? Halloween. Halloween's my favorite Carpenter movie. I love The Fog. I'm a big fan of The Fog. And I love The Thing, of course. I really like that. And I really like In the Mouth of Madness, too, actually. That was shot here in Toronto, In the Mouth of Madness. So I would say those are probably my favorite. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you don't say Escape from New York. It's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. I got to watch it again, though. I haven't seen it in years. But I would say when I think of John Carpenter, I think Halloween, The Fog, and The Thing are usually what I think of. So I'd say those are probably my favorite. Holly Klein says, I also follow Scott on Tape, who's from Toronto, and he's been doing a lot of horror filming locations in Canada. Amazing, all the movies filmed there. Oh, so many movies are filmed here. So many movies. Oh yeah. Tons of movies are filmed here. Tons of stuff. Neil Rook sends in a £2 super chat and says, filming underwater scenes must be difficult to do. Yes, I would say so. Obviously, they have specialized cameras and lenses for that. But yes, I mean, that's a whole other technique that would be incredibly difficult to achieve and to do. It would be tough. It'd be tough. I can only imagine the skill set involved in dealing with that. That would be difficult, man. That would be difficult. Let's see here. Scrolling down. Chris Baber says, honoring Hal Holbrook this week. Yeah, that's right. He died. Oh, that's right. Obviously, many of you probably know him from his little stint in The Fog. But I think he was Emmy winning and he'd been around for decades on a variety of things. So, yeah, but 95, man. I mean, 95, that's a hell of a run. Most of us will not live to 95. It kind of sucks to say that, but most of us will not live to 95. We hope we do. I hope I do. But 95, yeah, it's hard to believe. That is true. The Movie Fanatic says Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorites. That is true. That is a good one. Yep, I will say that that's up there too. That's a fun one. It's fun. It's fun. I will say it's definitely fun. Where are we here? Okay, we'll go for a couple more minutes here, and then I got to skedaddle. I have some voice work I have to do this afternoon. Johnny T says, hey, Dave, are you pumped for the Jays and their big free agent signings this year? Meh. We'll see how they do. The Movie Fanatic says, which version of Freddy Krueger is your favorite? The first two. The first two incarnations of Freddy Krueger are my favorite. Lately, I've been leaning towards part 2. He's just so mean. He looks so fucking mean in that movie, and the makeup job that they did on him in part 2 is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Love it. Andreas Mendez says, Halloween 2018 was definitely PC. I don't believe so. Just not as brazen and over the top as other films. The strong females thing was clear and more black characters than you would expect in the area of Illinois. Well, I disagree. I disagree. I don't think that's fair. I will politely disagree with that. Dennis Williams says, did you enjoy Fright Night? The second one sucks and the remakes suck even more. I haven't seen Fright Night in a long time, but Fright Night is one of the images, the theatrical poster in the VHS box with that, face over the house, is one of the images I always remember as a kid going into the video store. Because I'd go to the horror, and that's one that sticks in my mind. I'll never forget that image. I remember, it's always there. And it's one of those images. Now, the movie itself, I haven't seen in probably 20 years. So that's one I'll definitely have to see again very, very soon. Because I haven't checked it out. So, yeah. Dusty Rose says, hey, Dave, as award season nears, could you do a Mcrae Live about why horror films tend to be snubbed at the Oscars? Well, I don't know if I need to do a whole show on that. It's just that the reason why usually horror films are snubbed at the Oscars is because usually horror films are not that good. That's just the reality. Most horror films are garbage. The vast majority of horror movies are dog shit. And it's true. It's true. They are. When you look at the horror catalog, now that doesn't mean that you don't like them. And I know that this is where it's going to come into all film is, subjective. I get the saying that all film is subjective, but that doesn't negate the fact that can't be used as a crutch to say that, it doesn't matter, that quality ceases to exist and that there's no such thing as quality. That's simply not true. And I did a Mcrae Live, I believe I did several months back, talking about the use of the words, all film is subjective and that, it's entirely subjective what you like. What I like is subjective. What you like, I may not like. What I like, you may not like, and blah, blah, blah. Yes. But we can actually quantify quality. We can. And there is a general consensus among cinephiles and fans and, whatever, of what that quality is. And generally speaking, you don't see that quality in horror movies. Because horror movies are generally speaking not about acting, not about technical achievements, not about, crazy, in-depth, amazing stories. That doesn't mean there are not horror movies that aren't those things. There are. But there are not enough of them released every year to warrant being nominated for many, many awards. Get Out was nominated, but whether you liked Get Out or not, I can certainly look at Get Out and go, I can understand why it was nominated. I can look at things like, I'm trying to think. I'd have to go, because they're not usually nominated for the major awards. I'd have to go into the other sub awards. But that is why. Most horror movies are garbage, guys. It's true. Now, that doesn't mean you don't like shitty movies. You can watch, that movie's not very good, but I love it. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But most horror movies are garbage. They're just crap. You know what I mean? Whether it's Slender Man, whether it's The Nun, whether it's, pick it. Like, pick your fucking horror movie. Most of them are trash. And then every now and then, one comes along that's pretty good. Like the first Insidious or the first Conjuring or, The Others or, Hereditary. Every now and then. But when you look at how many horror movies are being made, whether it's studio, whether it's independent, how many horror movies are being made to how many are actually good, it's 1,000,000,000,000 to 1. It's insanely bad because they're cheap to make, and they don't require a lot of, filmmaking prowess. Let's just say that. They don't require a lot of that. Essentially that's why. That is why. Essentially. Doesn't mean there aren't other variables as well, but that's a big one. That's a big one. Where when you look at the dramas being, released, or you look at the, I don't know, the big high octane special effects movies being released. When you look at, there's just so much more richness there. There's so much more to choose from. There's so much more that's quality. There's so much more quality. You know what I mean? So that's why. Essentially. Goomba Johnny says, Dave, why not release IMB around Christmas 2021? Because we didn't want to wait. We didn't want to wait because it's a short film. We knew we'd have the movie ready to go, hopefully by spring, and then it's just going to sit for 6 months. You know, I mean, if this was a theatrical release and if releasing it at Christmas time was going to help us make money, we can't make money off of this movie anyway. So, well, then, yeah, if releasing It's Me, Billy was going to make it and it feels better, you know, let's release it at Christmas time because we're going to make more because it's Christmas. Well, yeah, but we can't monetize the movie because we don't own the intellectual property. So in theory, it doesn't really matter when we release it, you know, because we can't make money off of it. So fuck, you could, you know, release that Halloween. It wouldn't really matter, you know. And I know that there's a romanticism around the idea of releasing it at Christmas, but we just didn't want to wait. So it's going to be like a Christmas in May kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's essentially why. We just didn't want to wait. If it was going to take us the entire year to do, like, if it was going to take us till August or September to do post-production, which who knows? I mean, I guess it could if something crazy happens, then we would probably push it to release it at Christmas because it makes sense. But it didn't make sense for us to have the movie ready to go in the spring and then just have it sit for 6 months. It just didn't make sense to us. So that's essentially why. Whoop Stomp Films, my man, has made it into the chat room. But Dave, I got to get that. I got to get that in here. Where is that here? I got to get the, here we go.
But Dave...
Love it. Didn't you know the cool thing to do these days is announce a release date and keep moving it back? I think that's what I'm going to do. Actually, Vince, I'm going to. It's supposed to be spring, and we're gonna keep pushing it back. You know, between you and I, Vince, because there's nobody watching right now. It's Me, Billy's actually not going to come out till 2029, but we just want to keep pushing it. That's what we're going to do. It is. It's the cool thing to do. No, but in reality, we just didn't want to wait, you know, and like I said, I mean, I totally get it from a romanticism kind of cool, makes sense to see that date on the totally 100%. But we just didn't want to wait. We wanted to get it out there in spring, and you know, spring is a rebirth. It's a reborn. People are excited. Hopefully the lockdowns will be ending and maybe we'll have this fucking COVID shit under control, and you know, the flowers are blooming and people are getting in better moods, and the depression of the summer is, or the depression of the winter, excuse me, is kind of trailing off, and you know, and then you get this movie out there and people are feeling good, and you know, we just thought, you know, but who knows if for whatever reason post-production takes us longer than expected, we're still on track, then it's always a possibility. But yeah, we just didn't want to wait. We were excited to get it out there, to get it out into the ether, as they say. But 2029, I mean, that's essentially it. You know, that's it. All right, what do we add here? All right, I'll go for another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes, then we'll call it a day. Let me see here. Build that hype. That's right. 2029, man. 2029, my man. Dennis Williams says, I was kind of upset when they ignored the brother-sister aspect from Halloween. But when I saw Halloween 2018, I ended up loving it. Well, hey, and I think that's great, man. There are still a lot of people today that are upset about that. There are a lot of people today that feel that even Laurie's PTSD doesn't, and everybody's different. How people deal with PTSD is, you know, I mean, it's not an exact science, right? There are people that feel that to the degree for which she lived her life over the last 40 years doesn't make much sense when you compare what she went through in the original Halloween, and feel that if you included Halloween 2 from 1981 and the shit that went down at the hospital and everything she went through in that movie as well, in addition to what happened in the original Halloween, it makes more sense then that her character would be this, you know, insane. There are some people that feel that way. And then there are others like, no, it doesn't bother me. So I'm glad, though, for you. I'm glad that you were able to have a 180 and have it switched. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, your thoughts on Clarice series premiering on CBS next week? I think it may be limited because it will be on network TV. I've heard that they're doing that, but to be fair, I actually haven't seen any trailers for Clarice. So I will have to go and check that out. I haven't seen any trailers for it. So that's something I'm definitely going to have to do. Let me see here. Julian Turner says, did you see the Simpsons and Family Guy crossover from a few years back? I did. Was weird seeing the mostly lighthearted comedy from the former mixing with the latter's edginess. Still cracked me up though. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed seeing that. I'm not a big Simpsons fan. I appreciate The Simpsons now more than I ever have. And this is usually thanks to my girlfriend because she was a big Simpsons fan as a kid. I never was really into The Simpsons. But later in life, I got into Family Guy. I adore Family Guy. Still not as good as it used to be, obviously. But, I mean, every show cracks me up a couple of times. There's at least something in the show that cracks me up. There's at least something in every episode that tends to crack me up. I love Family Guy. I think it's hilarious. So I did see that and I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. Nick Kunda sends in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Nick. Says, Dave, quick question. Favorite after dinner snack? After dinner snack. I'm going to say maybe yogurt or a piece of chocolate or something like that, maybe. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say, and I'm sticking to it. Johnny Melancholy says, 2020 was loud. 2021 will raise the bar. And 2022, it's going to be a Scream 5, baby. Yeah, well, Scream 5. Yes, they're locked and loaded and ready to go with that, and that doesn't come out until January. Scream fans, I'm sure, are excited. A lot of Scream fans are excited. I'm indifferent, really. We'll see what happens when they release it. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, beside Nick Castle, who is your favorite actor to play Michael Myers? For nostalgia, I'll say Dick Warlock, but I really like what James Jude Courtney has done. I think he's done a fantastic job at capturing the essence of the character. I have no trouble believing that his portrayal is the same guy from 78, just 40 years later. Obviously James Jude Courtney is a bit bigger than Nick Castle. You have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but the way he moves and the fluidity of his movements and performance, I don't have any trouble believing it's the same guy. I didn't believe that, as much as I adore George P. Wilbur as a person, I didn't believe that he was Nick Castle, especially in Halloween 6, where he was kind of chunky. George had been eating too many burgers. So I'd say that. All right, 2 more minutes, and then we are out of here. 2 more minutes. Jeff Harris says, hey, Dave, thoughts on The Pledge? The Pledge? Let me just see here. I don't know what The Pledge is. Do you mean The Purge? The Pledge. Oh, no, it's a 2001 film. Oh, The Pledge with Jack Nicholson. Totally forgot about this movie. I haven't seen it in years. I don't know. I don't really remember it. I think I've seen it. If that's the movie you're talking about, it's the first one that comes up here on Google. On Google. Imagine people started saying Google as Google. Google. Kyle Sotomayor. It's the voice actor in me. I'm phonetically reading names that I instinctually think could be said a couple different ways. Hopefully I got it. Dave, what is the one thing you wish to see most in Halloween Kills? I want to see more of the stalker aspect of Michael. Agree. More suspense. Agree. Just want to know what you want to see the most. That's it. I'm right there with you. That is what I want to see, is more of that. That's what I want to see. For sure. Super chat comes in from Joshy Russell. Thanks, buddy. Sends in a £4.99 super chat. Hey, Dave, any chance of Antoger and why am I having trouble pronouncing that word? Antoger True Crime Weird miniseries? I'm not familiar with that word. Did you spell something incorrectly? Or am I just not familiar? Oh, another. You mean another? Okay, that's another true crime where, because I'm looking at, I'm like, Antoger? Is that a word I'm not familiar with? You mean another? Yeah, I think I'd like to do another one in the future for sure. There's a lot of ones. I want to talk about JonBenet Ramsey too. That's just a fucking shitstorm, that is. So I definitely want to talk about that. Thank you, Darren, for mentioning that. Let me see if I can get these here. David Lee Barron says, you like kale broccoli on pizza? Sure, why not? Robert Kitzmiller sends in a $5 super chat, says, Dave, have you ever tried an electric toothbrush? I have an electric toothbrush. I use an electric toothbrush. I got one for Christmas and I actually enjoy brushing now. Oh yeah, electric toothbrushes are the bomb, man. Chris Baber sends in a $1.99 super chat, says, end the show so Frank can put on his pants. It's coming up. It's coming up. And I got Joshy Russell. And then, of course, David Lee Barron says, you like celery on pizza. I'm not a big celery fan. I got to admit, I would rather broccoli. Not a big celery fan. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me for episode 142 of Mcrae Live. Thank you to my amazing moderators, of course, Frank Reichert, Tabitha Short, and Darren Sands for doing what you guys do. You guys are amazing. Don't forget, tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, head over to the YouTube channel Fandom Empire. I will be discussing Halloween with Sean over at Fandom Empire and Jimmy Champagne as well. It'll be myself and Jimmy Champagne chatting up with Sean at Fandom Empire, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Don't forget to tune into that. No Mcrae Live tomorrow, ladies and germs. No Mcrae Live tomorrow. Danny Williams gets one in. He goes hard into the paint, gets one into the bell, says, do you think they should have made Michael versus Jason? No, I do not. No Mcrae Live tomorrow because post-production for It's Me, Billy needs to continue going strong, and Bruce is coming over tomorrow, and that's what we're doing that here in the studio. So, no Mcrae Live tomorrow. But yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you to all the super chat questions that came in today. Thank you to the non-super chat questions that came in today. Sincerely, guys, you guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. And I will be back. Like I said, there's always a chance I'll be back with a video, pre-recorded video if something major were to happen. But if not, Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 99 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Hard to believe we're up to 99 episodes already. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great Friday tomorrow if I don't speak to you. And have a great weekend as well. So that will do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.